You're starting to hear a lot more. But what's the data telling us?
Yes, absolutely. Well, COVID cases have risen, they have spiked, but obviously it's nothing like what we've seen in the earlier waves, in wave 1, wave 2 and wave 3. So I just worked the phones a little bit and got some feedback in terms of what the COVID-19 testing is looking like, because the second you hear about COVID-19 cases rising, you think that all the diagnostic and hospital companies are making money hand over fist, but it's not the case this time. So the feedback is that the requests for tests have risen, but they've risen slightly at this point in time. For example, one particular diagnostic lab was doing around 500 tests pre this particular wave, which is maybe 2.5 weeks ago, and now it's spiked to around 700 to 750 tests per day. So yes, it's a huge spike in terms of percentage, but on an absolute basis, it's only 200 to 250 tests that they're doing on an average, higher than what they were doing earlier. Now, COVID-19 testing as a whole has come down by 1/4 from the earlier peak. So, for example, if Mumbai was doing 40,000 RT-PCR tests for COVID-19 at its peak, is now doing around 10,000 tests at its peak. And remember that there's more competition as well. So there are multiple other companies doing COVID-19 testing as compared to just the few that were in the earlier waves. And hence, the spread is much more as well. Now, the COVID-19 revenue in any case is going to be capped because of the fact that there's more competition. Separately, there's a cap on COVID-19 test prices. Also, blood investigations which are related to COVID-19 has also reduced due to milder symptoms. So people don't need to do multiple other tests. They just need to do a COVID-19 test and probably just stay at home. And people are now undertaking home tests at this point in time. And I just want to point out on that home test is where the money is at this point. So, for example, home testing was started picking up pace at the end of wave 2, where we really saw home testing come into popularity when it comes to COVID-19 during wave 3. So it had gone into lakhs per month of test kits being sold. That fell to probably a couple of thousand after wave 3 subsided, so maybe around 10,000 per month. And it's now risen again by around 40 to 50% on a month-on-month basis. So home testing is where it's at. RT-PCR COVID-19 testing has only seen a marginal rise this time.
Oh, I mean, let's just hope it all stays mild, right, and contained. But we'll see how it goes. Very helpful, Ekta. Thanks very much for that at this point in time. Let's...
Yes, we do have somebody who is going to throw more light on the COVID-19 trends and COVID-19 testing at this point. We have Shankha Banerjee, who is the CEO of Suburban Diagnostics. Remember, Suburban Diagnostics is a Mumbai-focused diagnostic chain, and it is now a part of Dr. Lal's. Mr. Banerjee, hi, welcome to the show. If you could just start by giving us a sense in terms of where COVID-19 RT-PCR testing stands for you all, as compared to, say, just before this peak started, which is maybe 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, and good afternoon, everybody. I think what you were just mentioning on the show is quite similar for us. It's a marginal rise that we see, not too much in terms of testing as of now.
Okay, so when you say marginal rise, how much would it be in, say, absolute terms?
So, to kind of put a number to it, it will be very difficult to give you accurate numbers, but similarly, like I think what you are presenting on the screen, so let's say about 200 to 50 tests more per day is what we are seeing, which is very marginal. And obviously for us right now as a business, we are much more focused on the non-COVID part of the business. So, that's where the whole, focus of the organization is right now.
Okay, so I'll just come to non-COVID-19 testing in just a bit, but you all did have the airport contract also when it came to COVID-19 testing. Where do things stand with that regard?
So as of now, the airport testing is off. Most of the requirements have come down. I think so therefore, there is no sense in really doing that scale of testing that we were doing at airport earlier. So that is currently not on right now for us.
Okay, so does that mean that you'd have to probably cut costs significantly? You have probably cut operational costs significantly. It could be even manpower costs that you had scaled up during the peak of COVID-19, and now you're probably cutting back on those expenses?
So there was always a bit of standard, people cost and some temporary. I think the temporary costs are down, but the standard costs are still there. But having said that, that's really not where we are focused. It's not so much about cutting costs rather than building revenue more through the non-COVID side that we are focusing on right now.
What about competition? Because, a market like Mumbai has become highly competitive, say, in the past 2 waves. Is revenue just being crunched down simply because there are more people offering the same prices, same tests at maybe even lower prices?
So like I've said that, competition isn't such a huge thing when it comes to COVID testing, because COVID testing is a lot to do with the demand. And I think you also pointed out in the show right now that the home tests are also now becoming very popular. So from that point of view, it's not really so much competition rather than, the whole demand for RT-PCR, which has come down.
Okay, so how much is COVID-19 as a percentage of your sales right now?
So I would rather give you a different number, which is that we are maybe in terms of COVID testing, we are close to about 75-80% below our peaks.
Okay, so you're 75 to 80% below your peak in terms of COVID-19 testing. What about non-COVID then? How are you placed in terms of non-COVID on a sequential basis?
So I can't comment on absolute numbers or absolute growth rates because we are still in the quarter, and now we are part of a listed entity. However, what I can say is that our focus is on non-COVID things, and things are progressing good for us as of now.
Okay, so just want to touch upon the kind of competition we're seeing when it comes to non-COVID-19 testing. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a big hullabaloo about the fact that Tata 1mg has introduced a 100 rupee test for basic testing or basic tests in the Bengaluru market. What is the situation in Mumbai right now?
So, patient acquisition kind of offers are something which has been happening in the industry for quite some time, and is going to continue. So it's a part and parcel of the competitive intensity that is there. I don't see it to be significantly different. It's just that we got maybe higher visibility to some of these offers now.
Okay, have you had to reduce your non-COVID pricing?
So we actually haven't been taking any price increases. So as of now, we are not touching on pricing at all. That's not on the plans.
Okay. All right, Mr. Banerjee, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. So diagnostic companies are now squarely focused on non-COVID-19 revenue. And remember, this is at a time where competitive intensity is rising in this sector. We'll take a short break on that note, but we'll get chatting with Aditi Nair, who's the principal economist at ICRA, to gauge the economic sentiment. Stay tuned.